right, we are about 2 weeks out from the 2020 NFL Draft, and that is a perfect time for a mock draft. So that's what I'm going to do here with this episode is look at my latest 2020 NFL mock draft. You can find this online at NFLDraftGeek.com on Thursday. Other orders, you can just listen to it here. So let's go ahead and get started. Pick number 1, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I have them taking Joe Burrow. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this pick just because it seems like it's a foregone conclusion. We can almost write this in pen. Joe Burrow had a historic 2019 season, led the national championship, Heisman Trophy. Cincinnati desperately needs a quarterback. Burrow, went to high school in Ohio. Just seems like a perfect fit. Let's move on. Number 2, Washington Redskins. I have them taking Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State. Much like the first pick with Burrow and the Bengals, I think this pick is pretty much locked up. I know there was rumors that potentially the Redskins might take a quarterback or they might trade out of this. I think those have just been rumors. It seems like they are dead set on Chase Young. I think that's a great decision for them. I like Chase Young. I think he's got the potential to have a Khalil Mack type impact in the NFL. The Redskins with Ron Rivera, with Jack Del Rio as their defensive coordinator and head coach and then defensive coordinator, they want to rush with their front four, get Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, and you have one of the best young defensive lines in the NFL. All right, pick number 3, the Detroit Lions. I have them taking Jeffrey Okudah, and I think I don't have trades in this mock. So no trades in this mock, but if there was going to be a trade, I think it was going to be either Miami or the Chargers moving up to this selection to get the quarterback, whether it's Tua Tagovailoa, whether it's Justin Herbert. If the Lions move down to 5 or 6, I think they're still in a position to get Okudah, who they want. Okudah is a guy that is a shutdown corner. He's fast, he's physical, he's got the loose hips that he can move with the receivers. He's got the ball skills to be able to play the ball in there. He's a complete package of a cornerback. If he goes number 3, it'll be one of the highest picks a cornerback has gone in years. So they need a corner. They need someone to pair up with Trufant to give them 2 corners that they needed. I know they traded away Darius Slay that was falling out with Patricia and the Lions. Okudah can come in and fill Slay's place to be that number 1 shutdown guy. But then with Trufant, it gives them two different types of corners that they could really use to kind of build up their defense. Pick number 4, I have the New York Giants taking Clemson linebacker Isaiah Simmons. And I tossed and turned with this pick because I don't know if the Giants are going to take Simmons. And there's a lot of talk out there. I see a lot of national analysts, a lot of experts picking Simmons here. I just have a hard time with it because I see Simmons as he's a linebacker. And the Giants, no matter who their general manager is, no matter who their head coach is, they always have a kind of a need for a linebacker, and they don't value that position very high. They haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since Carl Banks. Now, Isaiah Simmons does kind of fit. They like size, they like speed, they like athleticism, they like length, and he fits all of those. But David Gettleman, his whole mantra this offseason has been running the ball and protecting the quarterback. And to me, that means offensive line. And I think Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills are 2 guys to really kind of keep an eye on it here. But I went with Simmons just because I had been going offensive tackle so many times that I wanted to see what this draft would look like if Simmons goes there. I don't think it will be Simmons, but there's this chance that it is. And so that's why I put Simmons here. I wanted to see how kind of the draft unfolded after that, and we'll go from there. All right, at pick 5, I have the Miami Dolphins taking Justin Herbert, the quarterback out of Oregon. Yes, that is ahead of Tua Tagovailoa. I do have Tua as my second-rated quarterback in this class, But from what I've read from several different people that I trust that have put out reliable information, is that Justin Herbert seems to be the pick for the Dolphins. The word is that the Dolphins, they like Tua, but they're concerned about his injury issues. And Herbert is the safer prospect. So, and he's still good, don't get me wrong. And so I think they'll go with Herbert. He's got the potential. He's got the dirt. He doesn't have the durability issues that Tua has. And I think that that's kind of what they're going for. They don't, and I think we're going to see Tua fall a little bit. And I'll get to that when he gets selected in this mock. But I think his injuries and not being able to meet with teams and not being able to work out in front of teams is going to scare some teams off. All right, pick 6, Los Angeles Chargers. I have a little bit of a shocker here, and I have them taking a quarterback, but it's not Tua Tagovailoa. I have them taking Jordan Love out of Utah State. And before you kill me in the comments, just bear with me for a second. As I mentioned, Tua's got the injury. He's got surgery on his left and right ankle. He's had the hip surgery. We haven't seen anyone come back from a hip injury that Tua's had. I mean, we just haven't had that injury. We haven't seen anyone come back for it. The closest thing we can think of is Bo Jackson, and Bo was never the same after that injury. Now, everything looks to be checking out about Tua, but with teams not being able to meet him and work him out, I think he starts to fall. Now, could it be to 6? Yes. But in this situation, what if he does? What if the Chargers do pass on Tua and they go with Jordan Love? Okay? As Matt Miller of Bleacher Report reported in his scouting notebook, he's heard that the Chargers do like Jordan Love and they see his upside. And he does have a lot of upside. He shows a lot of next level traits, but he has some flaws that he needs to work on. His downfield passing and his interceptions missing underneath defenders is a concern for me. But the Chargers have Tyrod Taylor, a guy who they feel that they can start during Jordan Love's initial start to his franchise. So maybe Tyrod Taylor starts the first 6 games. Maybe he starts the first 8 games, and then Jordan Love eventually comes in. Okay? They're in a position that they can do this, so I think, hey, if the rumors are true that they do like Jordan Love, and they have those concerns about Tua Tagovailoa, I think that they could pull the trigger on this pick. All right, number 7, I have the Carolina Panthers taking Derrick Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. Derrick Brown's a guy that I'm not as high on as other people. I think he's a good prospect. My concerns about him is that of his upside, pass rushing upside. He's strong. He's powerful. He can move guys. He could, he's got some of the best strength I've seen in the draft coming out of for a prospect. But I don't really see much as a pass rusher, and that worries me. And so that's why I have him lower. Now, I fully understand that he's probably going to go higher than what I have him valued, and I'm fine with that. And I think the Panthers are a team that could take him. But Panthers are one of the teams I have the hardest time getting a gauge. Where could they go? I could see him going Isaiah Simmons if he's available. I could see him going Okudah if he's available. I could see them taking a receiver like CeeDee Lamb or Henry Ruggs. I could see him taking Javon Kinlaw. The one thing I've read about the Panthers and Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator, is that they want athletic guys that can move. And that's why I think Kinlaw might be a better fit than Derrick Brown. But I do think Derrick Brown's going to go in the top 10. And the Panthers seem like a guy, they could use a big body, powerful guy like him on the inside. So that's kind of where I was thinking with this pick. At pick number 8, I have the Arizona Cardinals taking Jedrick Wills, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. The Cardinals need offensive line help. They've got DJ Humphries at left tackle, who I think they're kind of undecided on, but they want to give him another shot. They brought in Justin Pugh last year to be their right guard, left guard, one of the two. He ended up having to move out to right tackle because it was such an issue. So I think Wills is a perfect situation for them because he can come in and solidify that right tackle spot, move Pugh back inside,
and lock down that right side. Give Kyler Murray time to throw. He's got DeAndre Hopkins now. They have Christian Kirk. They Andy Isabella from last year. So they've got pieces. They need to protect Kyler Murray in this running game. So I think Wills is a guy, like I said, he's my number one rated offensive tackle, a guy that's not only powerful, but he's got great lateral agility and movement skills. You put him at the right-hand side, he's solid, set right there. Maybe after this year or 2 years down the road, they decide to move on from DJ Humphries. Maybe Wills can move over to the left side, or otherwise he just stays at the right tackle spot, locks it down. In all reality, nowadays, right tackle and left tackle, there's not a big difference. So if you just get a stud tackle, you keep him there, and you're good to go. At pick number 9, this is where I have Tua Tagovailoa going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's actually been a little bit of rumor out there that the Jaguars potentially could trade up with the Lions to get Tua. And in this case, Tua ended up falling down to them because of, like I said earlier, the injury concerns. Teams have to be concerned about him. It's has nothing to do with him as a player. It has to deal with health. And if you're going to draft a guy early in the top 5, top 6, even the top 10, you have to be for sure that they're healthy. Because you don't want to draft a guy in the 5th overall and then he never pans out because he is never fully healthy. And I think that's what we might see with Tua. And who knows? Maybe he goes 5th overall. Maybe a team trades up to 3 to get him. But I think we're naive if we don't think that he could fall in this draft. And in this case, with Tua falling, Jacksonville kind of needing a quarterback, Gardner Minshew, as fun as he was last year, I don't think you're passing on a potentially elite quarterback because of Gardner Minshew. So if Tua falls to the Jaguars, they swoop him up. Maybe they start with Minshew to make sure Tua is fully healthy, and then Tua, hopefully he's the savior for the franchise, the next coming of Mark Brunell, and can lead them to the playoffs for years to come. At pick 10, I had the Cleveland Browns taking Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. This is who that made make him the second tackle taken in this draft. I do have Tristan Wirfs rated ahead of him, but to me, Becton is a left tackle, whereas Wirfs has played predominantly on the right side. The Browns don't need a right tackle because they just signed Jack Conklin. Get Becton in there at the left tackle spot, and now you have an offensive line to roll with. Becton, even though he's massive, I think he'd fit perfectly in their zone scheme, getting to areas and sealing off defenders, leaning on them, moving them. Opening up lanes for Chubb and Hunt, and really solidifying this offensive line that with Conklin and Becton on the outside, you get Treader at center, you got Bitonio at left guard. They're going to give Baker Mayfield time to throw. So it's a pick I think would be a good fit for what they want to do. They want to be a run-heavy team like Stefanski had with the Vikings, run heavy, and then offensive game based off of play action. And I think if you draft a guy like Becton, you're going to be able to do that here. All right, pick 11, the New York Jets. I have an offensive lineman again. I have Tristan Wirfs. The Jets will be interesting because I think they could either go receiver or offensive tackle. If the top 3 offensive tackles are gone, I could see them maybe going after a CeeDee Lamb or a Henry Ruggs or a Jerry Jeudy, one of those 3. Just because their offense needs weapons. Sam Darnold has nobody to throw to. He had no one to throw to, and then Robbie Anderson left in free agency. But more importantly, they need to protect him. And they need help. They've added a bunch of pieces this offseason, but they could use more. Tristan Wirfs is a guy I have as my second-rated tackle. You put him in, he could be your right tackle day one. He could, maybe he's got experience at left tackle. Maybe you put him over there. Regardless of where you put him, he's going to be probably their best offensive lineman, and they need to protect Sam Darnold. That's paramount. All right, with pick 12, I have the Las Vegas Raiders taking CeeDee Lamb, the receiver out of Oklahoma. I think with this pick, it's going to be a receiver. It's going to be one of the top 3, Lamb, Ruggs, or Jeudy. In this case, they get their first choice, and I think that'll be probably CeeDee Lamb, just because I think they want more of that physical presence on the outside, someone for Carr to be able to throw the ball up to. They've got Tyrell Williams, who kind of can be that down-the-field type guy, On the other side, Renfro can work the intermediate, and then Waller, the tight end, can kind of be that guy over the middle. So CeeDee Lamb can work downfield. He could do the short to intermediate with his size, his ball skills. His ability to go up and get the ball will make it so Carr doesn't always have to be the most accurate of throwers. He can kind of throw it up for him. And you combine now Lamb in with and allowing those other receivers to kind of fall back into their natural place. You got Josh Jones. You got a strong offensive line. This offense is set up to have some success. So I think Lamb would be a great fit for that. Pick 13, San Francisco 49ers. This is the pick that they got for the DeForest Buckner trade. I think if they have their first choice, and they do in this situation, I have them taking Henry Ruggs out of Alabama. And I think Henry Ruggs for them is a perfect scenario. Kyle Shanahan wants to add a speed element to the receivers. If you think back to when Kyle was first hired with the 49ers, one of their first free agency moves they did was they got Marquise Goodwin. And Kyle had some success with them, and Goodwin was basically just a fast guy that happened to play a receiver. And Kyle was able to get him involved and get the most out of him. Last year, they traded for Emmanuel Sanders, and he kind of fulfilled that role. I think Henry Ruggs would be a souped-up version of that, a guy that ran a 4.27 40-yard dash. He is lightning fast, and it shows up on the field. At one point, I would have thought that CeeDee Lamb would have been the perfect fit, but CeeDee Lamb, I think, is more that physical type receiver, and they've already kind of got that with Deebo Samuel and eventually Jalen Hurd, who they drafted in the second round last year. They want more of the speed element, and so that's why I think Ruggs would be that perfect fit. I think if Ruggs was gone, maybe Jerry Jeudy would be their next choice. But I think if Ruggs is available here, it's going to be a slam dunk pick for the 49ers. At pick 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them taking Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. Another pick that I think is, I see a lot of people making this pick, and I think it just makes a lot of success. With Tom Brady, with the Buccaneers, they need to protect him. We saw what happened this year when the Buccaneers couldn't protect Tom Brady. When the Patriots couldn't protect Tom Brady, he struggled. So the Buccaneers need to do that. They've got a strong interior offensive line. It's just the tackles that they need help with. Thomas is a plug-and-play guy. He's battle-tested. He's experienced in the SEC. He's not this all-world athlete, but he's got good enough athletic ability. He's good fundamentally. You put him in at left tackle. You move Donovan Smith over to the right side, and he's set up. Not only does Tom Brady need protection, but Bruce Arians in this offense, they want to do a lot of 7-step drops, 5 7-step drops, and work the ball downfield. You need to protect to do so. So getting this left tackle is paramount. All right, 15th pick, the Denver Broncos. I have them taking Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. All the rumors and the word that we're hearing out of Denver is that John Elway wants to build around Drew Lock. They got Noah Fant last year in the first round. Cortland Sutton, they drafted a few years ago. He's looking like he's coming into his own. They need to add that second receiver to pair up with him. And I think Jerry Jeudy would be a perfect fit right here because he offers a different element than Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's your bigger, physical, possession type receiver. Get Jerry Jeudy in here, a guy that's fast. He's explosive. He's a good route runner. He can work downfield. He can get separation underneath. I've always kind of compared him stylistically, not talent-wise, but stylistically to an Odell Beckham Jr. because at 6 foot, 190 pounds, he's fast, he's explosive, he can run good routes. He can also go up and win contested catches. And so I think Jeudy combined with Sutton, I think would be a kind of a nice little 1-2 punch. All right, pick 16, the Atlanta Falcons. I have them taking C.J. Henderson, the cornerback out of Florida. I think this is another pick that is very commonly mocked, and it's just because it's such a good fit. The Falcons need cornerback help, and they needed cornerback help before they got rid of Trufant. So Henderson's a guy that is 6'1", 95, 200 pounds, is physical, and he's not overly physical, but he's feisty, he's fast, he's quick in and out of his breaks. I think he'd do well within their cover 3 scheme. He can stick with receivers. He plays the ball well coming forward. I think he's in a tier all to himself at cornerback. You have Okudah, then the next tier is Henderson, and then there's a little bit of a drop off there. So if Atlanta has Henderson available here, I think that's a possibility. I even heard today that they might trade up to try and get him, so I think he's their top target. At pick 17 is the Dallas Cowboys, and this is always a tough one for me. Besides Carolina, the Cowboys, I don't have as much information on and don't really I feel like they could go a couple different ways. I've heard receiver is a possibility, although with Judy already gone and Ruggs and Lamb, is this a spot where Justin Jefferson goes? I think that may be a little bit high. Defender, I think cornerback, they'd love to get CJ Henderson, but he's already gone. I have him going K'Lavon Chaisson as the pick here, an outside linebacker out of LSU. I think they'd like to go defense. They want to add another pass rusher, even though they added Aldon Smith. They could use yet even more pass rushers opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. So I think Chaisson's a guy that's got speed. He's got explosiveness. He's just been banged up. So maybe he is available here. Maybe he falls a little bit. But I think with them transitioning to a 3-4 defense, getting a speed guy like Chaisson would definitely be a good fit for what they want to do. All right, at pick 18 is the Miami Dolphins. This is their second first-round pick. I had them going Justin Herbert at 5. Here I have them going Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. I think they're going to go offensive tackle at some point, and I've seen them linked to Jackson, and I think he'd be a good fit for what they want to do. The Dolphins, from what I've read and seen with them, is they want to add guys with potential, high ceiling type players. And I think Jackson's a guy that's got good movement skills. He's got the ability to mirror pass rushers. He's just got some flaws, some things that do look fixable. I like guys ahead of him, but I've heard, from guys like Daniel Jeremiah and others that he's probably going to be a top 20 pick, and the Dolphins are a team that's been rumored to him. So that's why I went the Dolphins at 18 with Jackson. At pick 19, I have the Oakland Raiders taking Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Kinlaw's a guy that I could see going 7th overall to the Panthers, but for some reason I just kind of have a hard time placing him in the teens just because teams that you think might take him, it seems like those teams might be going other ways. Like for Denver could possibly take Kinlaw, but I think they want to go receiver. The Tampa Bay could take him, but they need to protect Tom Brady. San Francisco maybe could use him to replace Buckner, but then, hey, Henry Ruggs is available. So I think because of that, he could slide a little bit. I think if he falls to the Raiders, they'd have to be ecstatic. Here's a guy that's a versatile, athletic disruptor. He's got the ability to get into the opponent's backfield and blow up plays, whether it's at the 3 technique, whether it's at the 1 technique, out at the 5, wherever it is, Javon Kinlaw makes plays. He's also got a great story. He's a great person. I think teams are going to like him as a person. So I think Oakland would love to get him, pair him up with Maurice Hurst, Clelin Ferrell, hopefully, Max Crosby, and there's your defensive line of the future. At pick 20, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle out of TCU. I like Blacklock. You kind of hear a little bit of a buzz going around him. Here's a guy out of TCU that's got the power to take on blocks. He's got the burst to kind of break through and disrupt. Jacksonville, since I don't have them going defensive tackle at 9, I think they could do it here. And I think you've got Derek Brown and Javon Kinlaw are the top 2 guys in that first tier. And then there's Ross Blacklock. And then there's a little bit of a drop-off. And I think because of that, they may say, hey, we could really use a defensive tackle. Let's just take him here and go from there. All right, pick 21, Philadelphia Eagles. I haven't taken Justin Jefferson. I think I'm one of many people that mock Justin Jefferson to the Eagles. To me, it's a good fit because Jefferson's a guy that thrived in the slot at LSU. He's not your typical Hunter Renfrow, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman slot type receiver. He's more of a bigger physical type player that can win underneath. But I think he'd fit well in replacing Nelson Aguilar in that Eagles defense, kind of complementing Goddard and Ertz at the tight end position. That allows Alshon Jeffrey to stay outside. You got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Greg Ward as their other receivers. I think Justin Jefferson can also play outside as well, but he's kind of that underneath possession type guy, a guy that's going to help move the chains. He's got speed. He's got the ability to create space underneath. He can go up and win contested catches. So I think he'd be a good kind of safety valve to go help Carson Wentz out. At pick 22, I have the Minnesota Vikings filling their cornerback need with Noah Igbinoghene out of Auburn. Here's a guy that as soon as I started watching him, I instantly was a big fan of his. 5'10", smooth. I think he's a good fit in what the Vikings want to do in their press man. He's not this big 6'3" Brandon Browner type guy, but he's got the ability to mirror with the receivers. He's physical enough. He can play the ball in the air. The Vikings need cornerbacks. Xavier Rhodes was cut. Trey Waynes went to the Bengals. Mackenzie Alexander went to the Bengals. That leaves just Mike Hughes. So I think the Vikings are going to go hard after a cornerback early. And to me, Igbinoghene was the top cornerback that fit them the best, I think. Pick 23, the New England Patriots. I have him taking Iowa defensive end, A.J. Epinesa. If you haven't watched my video scouting report on him, you need to go check that out. Physical player. He's a tough guy to kind of where is he going to go? Because at the beginning of the summer, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought he was one of the elite guys. But as the season progressed, he's still a good player. He just isn't that elite type guy. He lacks that, he's not an explosive speed around the edge guy. He's more a power, meet you at the point of attack. I've compared him a lot to Trey Flowers and upgraded Trey Flowers. And that's why I think the Patriots would be a good fit for him. The Patriots had a lot of success with Flowers as kind of a defensive end that they moved inside. I think Epinesa would really fit well with that, and he'd kind of complement the Chase Winoviches and that they have off the edge. And I think Epinesa could play a 5 technique. I think they could slide him down to 3. He could play, kind of a lot of different places. So not only does he fit the Patriots in that he could play many different roles, but he also is a player that they've had a lot of success with in the past. All right, pick 24, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. A team that wants to add speed to their defense, and they need help at linebackers. Alex Anzalone hasn't been able to stay healthy. Their other linebackers, Demario Davis and Kiko Alonso, are just guys. Patrick Queen can come in. He's a little bit raw, but he's got the explosiveness. He's got the speed to go sideline to sideline. And it could really boost up this defense, who's already, much improved over the Saints' defenses of old. They've got a strong secondary. They've got some pass rushers. Now get a guy at the second level that can run and chase, and I think that could kind of complete this unit off. At pick 25, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Ezra Cleveland, the offensive tackle out of Boise State. Here's a guy who I'm a big fan of. He's my 5th rated tackle in this class, but I have him tied with Andrew Thomas, and I really kind of want to move him ahead. I'm a big fan of his, an athletic offensive tackle, highly skilled. I think what put Andrew Thomas over him was I just felt more comfortable with him and his competition in the SEC and that experience compared to the Mountain West. Maybe that's naive of me, but that's what was the deal breaker. But I think Cleveland's a guy that the Vikings could really use. A left tackle has been kind of an issue for them. Riley Reiff hasn't been bad, but they've kind of wanted to move him inside to guard, getting Cleveland out at that left tackle position in their zone scheme, moving Reiff into guard to compete there. I think that would really boost up this offense that wants to be run heavy with Dalvin Cook. All right, at pick 26, I have the Miami Dolphins with their 3rd first-round pick. I have them taking Jeremy Chin, the safety out of Southern Illinois. And here's a player that I really have kind of fallen in love with. I think he could potentially be a little bit of a lesser version of Isaiah Simmons. I also think he could be a pretty good strong safety. Put a scouting report video out on him, so make sure you check that out. I just looked at the Dolphins, and they just basically are releasing Rashad Jones so they could use a strong safety. I think Jeremy Chin has got the chance to be the first strong safety draft off the board. If you kind of look at him, Delpit, and Kyle Duggar, I think Chin offers the most upside. He had a strong showing at the Senior Bowl, dominated the combine. His athleticism and speed show up on tape. So I think, they give him a chance to replace Rashad Jones at safety. Who knows? Maybe they eventually move him to linebacker and just use his upside and athletic ability out on defense to kind of be a matchup problem for, guarding, tight ends or running backs out of the backfield. He's shown the ability to cover slot receivers. So I think there's a lot of things that he could do. As I've said before, Miami wants high upside guys, and that's why I think Chin would be a good fit for them. Pick 27, I had the Seattle Seahawks taking A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. What the Seahawks do is always a bit of a mystery. They kind of have their own board. They kind of go away on their own, but they could use a cornerback. A.J. Terrell is a big, physical, and fast receiver. Kind of fits with what they want to do. Pair him up with Griffin on one side. And I think that he fits perfectly in their cover 3 defense. Pick 28, I had the Baltimore Ravens taking Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out of Oklahoma, a sideline-to-sideline physical tackler. The Ravens haven't had a good middle linebacker since they let C.J. Mosley go. Usually they always have someone in ready to step up. They haven't. I think Murray's a guy that kind of step into that role. He had success at Oklahoma playing in those wide-open Big 12 offenses, but I think if you put him and allow him to go tackle to tackle even a little bit further out, and he can come hard and fast, he has got a chance to have a good career with the Ravens and kind of make that defense even better. At pick 29, I have the Tennessee Titans taking Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston. Tennessee could go right tackle. They could go cornerback. I didn't really feel that, cornerback was an option, but I think Josh Jones would be a good fit to replace Jack Conklin. You put Jones in there. You can battle with Dennis Kelly. Maybe they go the Eagles route, and Dennis Kelly is their starter at right tackle, and Jones kind of is the swing guy, kind of getting his feet wet. High upside, but still a little bit raw. You put him at the right tackle spot eventually, and he's able to lock down that side, open up holes for Derrick Henry, protect Ryan Tannehill. Pick 30, I have the Green Bay Packers taking Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor. Another pick that I see a lot of people. I know we're going to have, out of all the mock drafts that we have on NFL Draft Geek, a lot of us are mocking Denzel Mims because I think it's such a good fit. You've got Devontae Adams, more of a physical possession type of receiver. Denzel Mims would be a good complement of him. Big, tall, and fast. A guy that can, I think, work down the field. He didn't really get a chance to do that at Baylor much because of the limitations with Charlie Brewer. But I think getting him kind of in that that mold that Jordy Nelson had and being that taller downfield threat, I think would fit well with Aaron Rodgers. Pick 31, I had the San Francisco 49ers taking Trayvon Diggs. I think if they can leave the first round with a wide receiver and a cornerback, they would be very happy. They got their speed receiver in Henry Ruggs with the 13th pick, and here at 31, they get a physical press man corner in Trevin Diggs. Here's a guy that I don't think is for every defense, but you put him in that cover 3. He's 6'2", 6'3". He's fast. He's physical. Let him jam guys at the line of scrimmage and then turn and run with them. He can sit and learn opposite of Richard Sherman and then eventually be the 49ers' number 1 guy when Sherman does leave. All right, in the last pick of the first round, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Jeff Gladney, the cornerback out of TCU. Now, I fully anticipate the Chiefs trading out of the first round. They don't have very many picks, and they're sitting just right here, so I could see them trade back, adding a couple more. Whether they stay in the first round or not, I think Gladney's a guy that could really fit with what they want to do. He could play. To me, he reminds me a lot of Kyle Fuller or the Fuller corner that they had last year. That went off to Kendall Fuller. That went off to back to the Redskins. A guy that could play in the slot or on the outside, physical. When just go watch Jeff Gladney against Texas and have him battle with the bigger Colin Johnson. He fought through that game. He was able to go up and win a few contested catches. He stuck with them throughout. I think you put him in at the slot, and he's one of the better slot receivers in this draft class. I think he can also hold his own on the outside. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for the first round, but I did want to give you a little bonus and give you the second round picks for the teams that don't have first round picks. So I'm going to kind of do this in lightning round fashion. Pick 34, Indianapolis Colts. I have taken Jalen Hurts, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. The Colts don't have, they could use a cornerback coming up. They got Jacoby Brissett. They've got Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers is only on a 1-year deal. How long is Jacoby Brissett going to be there? Get Jalen Hurts. Teams rave about his leadership. He's a better thrower than a lot of people give him credit for. Let him develop behind Rivers, and then he can maybe be a Dak Prescott type guy in the future. 40, Houston Texans. I haven't taken Justin Matabuki, the defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Just gives them another defensive lineman that they could really use. They're pretty thin up front. Pick 43, Chicago Bears. I haven't taken KJ Hamler, the wide receiver out of Penn State. Read a recent rumor that the Bears could go heavy on offense because they want to put Mitchell Trubisky in a position to have success that helps save jobs. So KJ Hamler would give them kind of that speed element type guy that they've had some success with, but they don't really have right now. Get him out there, get the ball in his arms, get him in space. Pick 44, Indianapolis Colts, T. Higgins. Give him a physical receiver opposite of T.Y. Hilton. Pick 49, Pittsburgh Steelers, taking Josh Uche, the offensive outside linebacker from Michigan. Give them another athletic pass rusher, a guy similar to a Bud Dupree, the guy that can play in space but also rush. Pick 50, Chicago Bears, Robert Hunt, offensive tackle out of Louisiana. I think he's a guy that can play right tackle. I think he can move inside to right guard. The Bears have a need for both. He's a physical mauler, but he's athletic enough, so I think he'd fit within their offense. 52, Los Angeles Rams. I haven't taken J.K. Dobbins, the running back out of Ohio State. After they moved on from Todd Gurley, they could use a running back to pair with Henderson out of Memphis, who they drafted last year. Dobbins isn't the explosive guy that Henderson is or what Gurley was, but he's a between the tackles, consistent, good, tough runner. So I think he'd fit well to complement Henderson there. Pick 54, Buffalo Bills, Jonathan Greenard, the defensive end out of Florida, just continuing to build up this defense, get some edge rushers. And then 57, Houston Texans. I haven't taken Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. They need to get a receiver to replace DeAndre Hopkins. For whatever reason, whatever, they need to add another receiver. I think Ayuk, his skill set would give them a contested catcher, a guy that can win with the ball in space, and so I think that'd be a good value there. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of my mock, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And until next time.